The wedding day cracked apart before noon, like a plank splitting under too much sun. Dust rose where the bride's horse vanished down the arroyo, hooves drumming panic into the dry earth, veil snagged on a mesquite branch like a white flag of surrender. Someone gasped. Someone else laughed. By the time the wind carried the truth back to the churchyard, the truth was already dressed in mockery. The preacher closed his book slowly, as if careful hands might keep the moment from breaking any further. Cal Hart stood alone on the church steps, hat in his hands, staring at the empty road where promises had just fled. The sheriff laughed loudest. He slapped his knee, belly shaking beneath his star, and shook his head like he'd seen it coming all along. "Well now," he drawled, voice carrying over the murmurs, "guess she finally showed her sense." Folks leaned closer, hungry for the ending of a story they'd been waiting to enjoy. The deal had been common knowledge: land disputes smoothed by marriage, a rancher's water rights tied neat with a ribbon of vows. A practical arrangement, the sheriff had called it. Cal hadn't argued. He wasn't a man for speeches. The sheriff stepped closer, boots crunching gravel, grin fixed and bright. "Contract's still good," he said, tapping the folded papers in his pocket. "Land don't care which sister signs it." He jerked a thumb toward the porch where the remaining sister stood half in shadow. May. She'd been dressed for a wedding too, though not for herself. Simple blue cotton, sleeves rolled because she'd been helping in the kitchen since dawn. Heat flushed her cheeks. She was heavy-set, broad in the hips and shoulders, her hair pinned tight like she meant to keep herself together no matter what came loose around her. Eyes dropped when she felt the stares, then lifted again, stubborn as a post driven deep. "You'll take this one instead," the sheriff said, laughter still clinging to the words, as if it were a fair trade, a joke with a punchline already decided. Cal looked at May, not quickly. He took his time, the way he did when judging cattle or clouds. He saw the tremor in her hands she didn't try to hide, the way her back straightened when she realized she was being measured like land. He remembered her carrying water buckets the week before without complaint, remembered her quiet questions about fence lines and creek beds when others talked only of dresses. The laughter thinned. Someone coughed. "I want her," Cal said at last. The words landed heavy. The sheriff's grin faltered, surprised into a crooked thing. May's breath caught, sharp and loud in her ears. She looked at Cal as if he'd spoken a language she didn't know, something dangerous and new. He met her gaze, steady, not kind for kindness, sake, not cruel either. Just certain. The preacher cleared his throat. The wind tugged at the veil snagged in the mesquite, setting it fluttering again. And in that uneasy quiet, with dust settling and eyes watching, May stepped off the porch and stood beside Cal, unsure of what she was agreeing to, but unwilling to be traded without her feet on the ground. They rode out together before gossip could find a sharper edge. Cal set the pace easy, mindful of the heat and the long miles, and May appreciated that he didn't pretend the saddle wasn't a strain. The leather creaked under her weight, but she sat it like someone used to making do with what was given. Town fell away behind them, the false cheer, the sideways looks, the sheriff's laughter still echoing in her ears. Ahead stretched the open range, sun bleaching the grass to the color of old straw, sky wide enough to swallow hurt if a person led it. May kept her chin high and her eyes on the horizon. She'd learned early how to carry herself when rooms grew quiet at her entrance. Cal watched her from the corner of his eye, the set of her shoulders, the way she shifted in the saddle to spare the horse. He'd married her by noon and already knew more about her from the ride than he'd known about the woman who ran. May didn't talk much at first, but when she did, it was to ask about the creek, whether it ran year-round or failed in August, or to remark on the soil where the sage thinned. Practical things, necessary things. The ranch came into view by late afternoon. A house set back from the wind, a barn that leaned but held, fences stretching like lines drawn by a patient hand. Cal showed her the place without ceremony. He pointed out the spring tucked into cottonwoods, the low pasture that flooded in a wet year, the field he'd never had the money to plant right. May listened, nodding, storing details like tools laid out for later use. She didn't pretend wonder at it all. She saw what was there and what wasn't, and neither frightened her. Inside, the kitchen smelled of dust and iron pans. May rolled up her sleeves again without asking and set water to boil. She knew kitchens. how to make small stores stretch, how to keep hands busy when thoughts wanted to run. Cal sat at the table, hat on the hook, watching as she moved with a competence that calmed him. Supper was simple, beans and bread, but it filled the room with something steadier than silence. When Cal mentioned the drought, his voice low, May didn't sigh or cross herself. She asked how deep the well was and whether the cattle had shade. Night came on with a restless wind. The house creaked, and coyotes called from the hills. May lay awake in the narrow bed, counting boards in the ceiling, listening to Cal's footsteps on the porch as he checked the latch. She thought of the laughter, of being offered like an afterthought, and felt the old ache rise, then settle. This place was rough, but it was honest. She wondered how long a promise made in laughter could last, wondered whether a man who chose her so plainly could grow to regret it. Morning broke clear. May was up before the sun, stoking the stove, setting coffee to boil. When Cal came in, hair rumpled, she handed him a cup without ceremony. He took it, surprised, and thanked her. Outside, they walked the fence together. May pointed to sagging wire and posts that needed bracing, spoke of ways to fix them that didn't cost much but cost time. Cal listened, truly listened, and felt a curious easing in his chest. When a calf balked at the creek and splashed back, May laughed, low, unguarded, and the sound carried over the water like a small, stubborn victory. By mid-morning the road into town had woken to its usual traffic, and Cal hitched the team with a mind to buy nails and salt. May went with him, smoothing her dress, refusing the comfort of staying hidden. As they rode, men slowed their wagons, eyes sliding toward her and away again, the curiosity sharp as thistles. May felt it and did not flinch. She'd spent years learning how to occupy space without apology, and today she meant to take up all that was hers. At the mercantile, whispers followed them between shelves of flour and bolts of cloth. Cal kept his hand easy at her back, not steering, just there. May picked out nails with a practiced eye, counted coin without hurry. When a woman she knew from church looked at her with pity softening her mouth, May met her gaze and smiled, steady and unashamed. The woman looked away first. It felt like a small victory, but May took it all the same. Outside, the sheriff stood near the hitching rail, hat tipped back, grin returning as if it were stitched to him. "Well, I'll be," he said, drawing out the words. "Looks like the joke's still walking." His eyes flicked to May, weighing, dismissive. Cal's jaw tightened, but May spoke first. "Morning, Sheriff," she said, voice even. "You'll want to sign those papers proper. We'll be needing clear lines come branding." She didn't wait for his reply. She knew the language of business as well as anyone raised on scarcity. The sheriff blinked, surprised into silence for a heartbeat, then chuckled and tipped his hat. The laughter sounded thinner now. Cal reached for her hand as they turned away. Not for show, not to quiet the town. He took it because it felt right, because it grounded him in a way he hadn't expected. May's fingers were warm and sure in his, calloused from work. She squeezed once, a question, and when he squeezed back, she nodded. The town seemed to hold its breath, watching to see if the bargain would break or bend. On the ride home, clouds gathered over the hills, a promise of rain or disappointment. May spoke of the pasture by the creek, of planting near water first, of saving seed. Cal told her about his father, about learning the land by failing at it. The words came easier than he thought they would. May listened, not fixing, not softening, just hearing him. When the first drops fell, light and brief, they laughed together, tilting their faces to the sky like children. That afternoon they worked side by side, mending what could be mended. May's hands were strong. She pulled wire taut, set posts square. Cal watched her set her weight and use it, efficient and unembarrassed. He realized then that what the sheriff had offered in laughter had been a gift he didn't know to ask for. Not a compromise, a partner. As evening settled, the land breathed after the rain. Cal set supper on the table, and May added herbs she'd found by the fence. They ate in companionable quiet, the kind that grows from shared effort. Outside, the coyotes called again, but farther off. May leaned back, tired and satisfied, and Cal felt the future shift, uncertain still, hard as ever, but facing them together, not as a joke told at their expense, but as a life claimed with open eyes and steady hands.